Hello, it's Gmodism Total Nerdery Channel here, and today we're going to discuss the topic of inverted or normal mouse setting. So almost everyone is playing your games normally. So basically when you push your mouse upwards, you look upward, and when you drag it downwards, you look downwards. And how this works is if this is like the screen, you basically imagine that you are controlling your character like if you would have a touchpad. You're like up and down like that. The only difference is that your screen is here and your mouse plane is here, so you're kind of connecting them up with a 90-degree like offset. So you're moving it up there and the character looks up there. So that's basically how that works. It's like touchpad, but with a 90-degree offset. And when I tell you how the normal setting is, you might understand that it's also a little bit weird. It's not so straightforward, you know, if the inverted setting or if the normal setting really makes sense. Before, everyone played with the like normal setting. The default was inverted for like many games, and basically in flight sims it's like inverted. When I push my joystick backwards, my plane goes upward, so it's like, you know, if I drag my downwards towards me, my character looks upward. It's basically like that. But there is a little difference in how we control the character and how it feels to control the character in if we play inverted or not. And I'd actually challenge everyone who's watching this, just try and see how inverted feels like. You might need to play your game like 3 times, get a little used to it, and just feel how it feels like. Because I actually feel a little bit more immersed into the game with the inverted mouse setting. And I have played with the normal mouse setting for like 10 plus years. Actually more than that, like, I don't know, 15. Anyways, I played 10 plus years with like the normal mouse setting. When I first learned to play video games with a computer, I actually learned to play it inverted. So this might be why it's starting to feel more natural, and I'm starting to wonder if it really was the correct thing to do to get used to the normal setting instead of continuing with the inverted setting. And the reason for this was that I went to internet cafes and I just didn't want to switch it all around, so I just learned to play it the normal way, or normal, and then I continued doing that. But I'm feeling that there is a little limit on how good I can get at like shooting games, and I'm starting to think maybe it's because it's actually more natural for me to play inverted. And some research, there hasn't been a lot of research and it's hard to find the sources, but apparently some say that if your consciousness, your ego, sits right behind your eyes here, then the normal setting, where you like use it as a touchpad and have a 90-degree offset, might feel more natural because you're right behind your eyes, you know. If your consciousness, if you try to feel like where the I in yourself, some people come to the conclusion it's like here a little bit back in the head. And that's for me. When I'm like feeling where is me, I, located, it's a little bit back in the head here. It's not like right between my eyes, it's a little bit back. And people that feel like that often, apparently, so they say, like to play games inverted, where it might feel more natural to play inverted. And everyone can learn to switch and just do the other way around. It's not that hard. But I'm going to tell you like the reason on how we control the character when we use inverted. It's basically like this. Imagine that when you're playing your games with normally, when you push your mouse upward and you look upward, you're basically controlling the character from, you know, behind the eyes, like a kind of touchpad. When we control the character with inverted setting, we're basically controlling the character from the torso. So the torso here. And when I push the mouse forwards, I look down. Like if I'm a joystick and my hip is like fixed and I'm a joystick, you know, if I push the mouse forward, I look down in the game. So basically, when I play inverted, it feels like I'm controlling the character from the torso. So I hold my gun like that, and if I move the mouse forwards, I look down, and if I move the mouse backwards, I look up. And what feels really natural to me is, you know, when you need to compensate for recoil, so you need to drag the mouse down to kind of compensate for recoil. When you play inverted, you push the mouse forwards to compensate for the recoil, and that feels natural because that is almost like if there actually was recoil, like you're holding back your gun, so you push it forward like that to compensate for the recoil. So I think that when I play my games inverted, it feels like I'm more into the game because I'm not controlling the character just from like the eyes or something like that. It's almost that I'm into the character. I am the character and controlling it from the torso, because the head is a very small part of your body. It's like you take the torso, push forward, push downwards, you know, like that instead of And that's basically how I would most easily explain the character controls. And for, like, if I use a gamepad or something like that for like Xbox, it definitely makes more sense to me to push it forward to look down and push it upwards to look up, because then it's actually like the character's torso is the joystick, you know, instead of the other way around. That was really like, that makes sense to me. But I learned the normal way to play games, and now I'm starting to switch back to inverted, and we will see if I will get better at games, if I have higher potential with inverted setting. It's possible this is the case, because 1, it's the way I learned to play. 2, my eye is a little bit back in the head. And 3, I feel a little bit more immersed in the game when I'm imagining that I'm controlling the character from the torso with a gun and everything, instead of just behind the eyes, and that the gun just follows the eyes. So that's like 3 reasons that I think that it's possible that I will actually get better and get more immersed and have a higher potential when I'm switching to inverted. You should try it. It's so easy to try. You just go in there, switch one box, and there you go. You can try. Because you might find out that that might have been a little limiting factor and a little thing that will make you feel more immersed. Anyways, that's basically that. So, and if you are going and do that switch and just trying it out, when you play the game with a normal setting, so you push your mouse upwards and you look up, then you need to imagine that the screen is basically a touchpad and you're like moving the eyes of the character, and that it's like an offset touchpad screen. But when you switch to the inverted, you need to imagine that you are controlling the character's torso. So, and then it will make much more sense, and you might really almost start to feel the gun a little bit when you like push forwards to compensate for recoil and all that. Well, anyways, that was my take on the difference between inverted and normal mouse setting, and you know, why you might actually want to try it out. It's free to try, and it's a fun experience, and it's challenging, I'll tell you that. And anyways, I'll see you next time. This is your host, Gmodism, signing out.